I want to begin with a note of gratitude for YW Boston hosting us this afternoon, for your work year-round in dogged pursuit of justice. I am truly in awe of the extraordinary women who assembled here today, who shared their lived experiences, offered their expertise. We experienced even some joy and levity around the table as we talk about how to navigate these challenges and newfound hardships. The women alongside me here today are among the more than 300,000 Black women who have been pushed out of the workforce since January. This is no coincidence. Again, this is not a naturally occurring phenomenon. This is the direct result of Donald Trump's mass federal firing frenzy and his unrelenting attacks on diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. Again, we know the adage that when America catches a cold, Black folks catch pneumonia, and that could not be more true for Black women. We have many times over been the canaries in the coal mine for the most persistent structural inequities in this country, in health and wealth and education, and more. Today, we are seeing an alarmingly high unemployment rate, disproportionately impacting Black women. The Black women's unemployment rate has jumped to 7.5% compared to overall unemployment at a rate of 4.4%. This is a five-alarm fire. It is an emergency. It is a crisis for Black women, for Black families, and Black futures, in that Black women, nearly 70% of them, are the primary breadwinners in their households. And again, this 7.5% rate is up nearly an entire percentage point from September's 6.7% rate. And Trump's mass firings have had an outsized impact on Black women. Black women make up about 12% of the federal workforce, near double their share in the overall labor force. And it has had an impact on the essential services that these federal workers provide. If you ever submitted, as I said earlier, a FAFSA application to the Department of Education, it was likely a Black woman processing that. If you ever benefited from the enforcement of fair housing laws, it was likely a Black woman in housing and urban development that was making that possible. If you were ever a victim of predatory financial products and scams, it was likely a Black woman who ensured you saw justice at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. In Massachusetts, the Black and Latino unemployment rates are the highest they've been in more than 3 years. So that is why I'm calling on the Federal Reserve to adhere to their statutory mandate of pursuing full employment and address this unemployment crisis. Nearly 70% again of Black women are the primary breadwinners of their families, providing for children, parents, and elders. When we lose work, it reverberates far beyond ourselves. I think it might have been Anna earlier who said we are economic ecosystems. That's right. Yeah. And she'll speak more to that. When we lose work, again, it's felt it's felt far beyond just ourselves. This has consequences for Black women, Black families, and Black futures. And this is not just a crisis for Black women. This is a glaring red flag, a sobering indicator of what is to come for everyone. Black women are bearing the brunt because we always do. But this economic hurt and harm is coming for everyone in this entire economy. It is a bellwether. So that is why I'm proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with these women today to continue to sound the alarm on this crisis, to put a name, a face, a lived experience to that amorphous 7.5% unemployment rate. When Black women are working, when Black women are innovating, when Black women are thriving, our entire economy and nation benefit. We will not be silent, and we will certainly not be silenced. Our economy and our nation depend on it. So with that, it is now my honor to invite our great leader to the podium here, Abba, since we are at YW. Where are you, Abba? Okay, here you go. All right. And I'll scoot to the corner here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Pressley, again, for your unapologetic efforts in continuing to sound the alarm on the current and stark reality of Black women's unemployment, which now at 7.5 is virtually double the rate for white people.
And this is Ava Taylor. If you want.
My name is Ava Taylor, and I am the president and CEO of IW Boston. This data point, as we know, is just the tip of an iceberg of much deeper inequities that Black women have been shouldering for generations, if not centuries. I also want to thank, like I did earlier, the impacted women in this room who did not get a chance to speak, and the thousands of impacted Black women and women of color who are not here with us today, but who we see and who we love. I know some women who wanted to be here today, but were carrying just too much, and so we honor you.
Yes.
We, the Canaries, ask you to look at who is struggling in this economy and who is thriving right now. Who are getting bigger paychecks and who are living check to check. Who are remodeling their big houses and who are trying to figure out how to get food on the table. In all these instances, women and people of color, Black women in particular, as the canaries in the coal mine, are pawns in these destructive ideologies and systems that are specifically designed to keep us down, fighting against each other and turning away from each other. How easy is it to dismiss the unemployment crisis and turn our backs on women of color, especially Black women, because we have always been the punching bag for this country's sins. We are America's expendables, its untouchables, the lower caste, the bottom rung on the ladder. We're constantly under attack, overlooked, pushed down, exploited, and yet we still show up, work harder than most, are the breadwinners, raise children, anchor our families, lift up the people around us, and hold our communities together. We, the Canaries, face the combined weight of racism and sexism in workplaces, in politics, in the criminal justice system, in the healthcare system. And I want to give a shout out, send love and healing to the two mothers, Carrie Jones in Texas and Mercedes Wells in Indiana, who were both recently ignored in hospitals while actively in labor. Speaking of neglect, what those in power are counting on is that society will ignore and dismiss the injustices of Black women because we are Black women, because we are the lowest caste, not realizing that those same injustices are at everybody's doorstep and have already arrived at the table for some. What we need to do is recognize that Black women deserve the same treatment that every human being deserves: safety, dignity, respect, mobility, and opportunity. If we want real progress, we, the Canaries, must sing and be heard. We help build this economy and we belong in this economy, just like everybody else. Until Black women, all women, people of color, immigrants, trans and gender expansive folks, those with different abilities, and all those who are pushed to the margins can enjoy the birthrights of safety, security, and mobility, we are all at risk. None of us are free until all of us are free. Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Anna Gifty, award-winning economist.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Gifty. I'm actually currently a Harvard PhD candidate studying policy and economics, really focused on race, gender, and the economy. I kind of want to address this message to people who might say, why should I care about what's going on with Black women and the economy? I'm not a Black woman. This has nothing to do with me. And what I want to say is that I think it's really important to not ignore your neighbor when their house is on fire, right? A lot of times I think people assume that because it's happening over there, it can never reach here. But as our current climate suggests, for example, Jimmy Kimmel potentially getting fired, right? That actually started with Amber Ruffin and Jamel Hill, right? So a lot of the attacks that do happen on Black women are really canaries in the coal mine for larger attacks that might happen to you. And I want to remind folks who Black women are. Black women are parents. They're also children, right? In some sense of parents and stuff like that. I would say they're educators. They are folks who work in your neighborhood. They're individuals who contribute meaningfully to your neighborhood. And they're people who deserve dignity and respect, right? I think above all else, Black women essentially inhabit the Venn diagram of our society. They are dead center, meaning that our experiences overlap with a lot of different experiences that you may be going through in your day-to-day life. And so if you're not addressing what's happening with us economically, as we're seeing the data, what's happening to Black women is now reaching all women. And so it's only a matter of time before it reaches other groups as well. So I hope that you'll pay attention. Thank you.
As I said, there is a 5-alarm fire. And I'm so grateful, for those profound observations, both by Abba and Anna. And again, because it's so important that we continue to experience those that have been directly impacted. Now we'll hear from April Ennis. Yes, come on. Yes. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Congresswoman Pressley. Thank you, YW Boston. My name is Dr. April Khadija Ennis, and I'm a pediatrician turned full-time researcher and evaluator who was laid off this past May from a research firm. And as soon as the funding cuts started to happen, we pretty much knew the axe was going to fall, right? So I'll give you an example. One project that I was extremely passionate about was aiming to characterize the experiences of Black women participating in home visiting programs across the country. That grant is now gone. That research is sitting somewhere collecting dust. Once I lost my job, I went for unemployment, and it took 10 weeks for unemployment to go through. So in the meantime, I really tried to lean in to a little bit of a side hustle that I had going on, but then only to find out that it's incredibly hard to secure capital to start a business and move things forward. I am a Bostonian who is generations deep in this city. My great-grandmother owned a laundry service in Roxbury. She owned 2 homes. And then I look at my life and the lives of the Black women in my circle, and I think, how is it that we have less opportunity today than she had back in the 1920s? So thank you for providing this space to share our stories. And I look forward to partnering with you to address this crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, April. And, I'll share that when those first numbers came out in August, and it has been a struggle, again, for us to get accurate data. And data does tell the story.
It is.
And we know that which gets measured gets done. So that's why we continue to push for data to be publicly available, for it to be disaggregated, for it to be studied, and for it to inform our strategies. But a dear friend of mine, Valicia Butterfield of the Global Black Women's Network, established a mutual aid online forum or portal. And it was standing up maybe for 72 hours, and 40,000 Black women applied in that mere 72 hours in need of mutual aid. And this ranges from fast food workers to professors with PhDs. So it really does run the gamut. And again, it is a systemic crisis for Black women from every walk of life. Now we'll hear from Helen Joseph, again, because it is important that we continue to hear and listen and learn from those closest to the pain, so that we can harness the best strategies to mitigate this harm and to get at the root causes. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Helen Joseph. I am a licensed mental health counselor and a mental health equity educator. And I want to thank Congresswoman Pressley and the YW Boston for the opportunity to be here today. I am participating in this conversation and this incredibly important dialogue, both from lived experience and from professional experience. As a leader, I was pushed out of the workforce for my advocacy and for trying to support issues of equity and inclusion within my workplace. As painful as that experience has been, because I am a mental health provider and an educator, I have resources. I have a frame of reference for what does it look like to address and treat the trauma that results in systemic violence and systemic oppression that Black women and so many other communities are facing in this moment. Many people within our community do not have those resources, those frames of reference. And so I want to speak in this moment more about some of the professional feedback that I have for folks who are navigating this exact experience, for Black women who are being impacted by this push of our community outside of the workforce, and for organizations that are hoping to be a resource and to be the allies that many organizations and corporations promised us that they would be to our communities in 2020. For organizations who are wanting to support our communities, it is incredibly important that we focus on building trauma-informed workplaces. Outside of what it means to be pushed out of the workforce for our advocacy and for our identities, it is a challenge to be in leadership, to be at any level of the workforce, and to have an environment that is not responsive to and attentive to the nuances in our experience, especially in relation to the political climate that we're living through and the ways that our communities and our identities are constantly under attack. To be a trauma-informed workplace benefits everyone from all identities, and it is incredibly important for how we sustain our organizations, our corporations, and ourselves in this time. For folks in the mental health field, it is incredibly important that as the attacks on healthcare system continue and as the gaps are continuously widened in terms of how certain communities can access mental health services, it is an incredibly important time for us to focus on what does it mean to provide culturally responsive mental health services. We can't have a one-size-all-fit approach to mental health treatment, and everything that is happening in our country right now is creating trauma in our communities. It is creating trauma that is deeply impacting us as a collective and will impact our families and our communities for generations to come. So if we want to be a true resource to our communities and to really address the mental health crisis that the United States is experiencing in this moment across identities, but particularly in communities of color and other marginalized communities, we need to have culturally responsive mental health services and training for providers in order to be able to provide high-level care for our communities. And finally, I will say to Black women who are experiencing this, who are impacted by everything happening now, whether it's happening to you directly or whether the stress of what it means to witness this is impacting you. In my own experience, healing from my pain, from this experience, my creativity, my community, and my conviction. Those are the three things that most deeply helped me in my healing process. As a trauma therapist, I spend a lot of time talking with folks in a number of different spaces around what it takes to heal and what it takes to heal when you're in the context of an environment that was never made for your well-being. And in order to do that, we need to be connected to our communities. We need to be connected to people who understand not just our pain point, but what it takes to be resilient. We need to be connected to the internal resources that we have, and creativity and our innovation is a part of that. And finally, to be connected to our conviction that we deserve to have the same rights, have the same access that everyone deserves, including safety and the freedom to be well. Thank you.
Okay, and now we'll hear from Council President Lucy Lujan, City of Boston.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much again, Congresswoman Pressley, for doing what you do, which is bring us together, convene us, and problem solve. Now, I want to thank you for your leadership. So many of us were here, I think it was last Wednesday, as we convened and we talked about advocacy and how to Advocacy 101, and this is it. All of us here together singing and advocating in unison about the attacks on Black women in the workplace by this federal government, by this rogue administration that we will not stand for, and we will do what Black women have done since time immemorial, which is stand up for our communities and for ourselves when everyone else is trying to look away. So I want to thank all of you for your bravery and your courage. Everyone has stated it. There are so many other women, so many of my best friends who could be here, who work for the federal government, but have to be careful about what they do and do not say, because the First Amendment is also under attack in a way that we have not witnessed in our lifetimes. And I'm going to steal a page from Sister Joseph's book when she was talking about who she's directing it to. I direct this to everyone who is in charge of a workplace. We are not backing down on who we are. The city of Boston, our values do not change just because the person in the White House changes. We remain committed to a city that wants to look like our city, which means that the work of ensuring that our workplaces are diverse, that they are equitable, that they are inclusive is the work of normalization. I want normal boardrooms. I want normal workplaces, normal industries, normal schools where leadership and people who are part of it look like the city and the world that we are and that we are striving to be, which means that it's not monolithic. There is no one gender that controls. There is no one race that controls. There is no one ability that controls. That we are all part of decision-making and leadership because that's what's reflected in our city and our society, period. It's actually not that complicated. The work that we are doing is to reverse for decades and centuries of disinvestment, of harm, of neglect, of intentional wealth building off of Black and brown folks, specifically Black women. So we will not let up on that work because this is the work of normalization. And I'm so glad that we get to do this under the leadership of Congresswoman Pressley and under the leadership of every single Black woman who is here. We listen to you, we hear you, we lift you up, we stand in solidarity in this moment when we are under attack, and in the beautiful moments too. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. That ends our formal program. I am just going to take a moment of personal privilege because it's very important to me, since very often the contributions of Black women are, particularly in this climate, erased or rendered a footnote. And my staff has been indefatigable and exhaustive in their advocacy for the Massachusetts 7th. They love this district. They love each and every one of you. The past 6 weeks of this shutdown, they've been working unpaid. And I did just want to lift up the labor of an incredible, extraordinary, and brilliant Black woman on my staff, Sophia Abdi, who made today possible, because very often we're talking about federal workers. People forget about the staffs of the members of Congress in this Commonwealth and your senators. And so I wanted to lift up this incredible woman. Okay. So now, happy, if my sisters need to get on with the rest of your day, you're certainly invited to do so. For those of you that would like to remain, I'm going to stay here and answer some questions from the press. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Sorry. Any questions? I will need folks to exit quietly, though. Thank you so much.
My question is, do you hope that any part of this message does reach the administration, the Trump administration? Are you expecting any change, immediate change or answers from them, or are you more hoping that it's on the local leaders level?
It's both and, or yes and. It's about collaborative approaches, city, state, and federal, to mitigate this, to get at the root causes, to mitigate the harm of these policies by the Trump administration. But I'm really just squarely focused in my role in the Financial Services Committee on the role of the Fed to do its job. I like to look at what assets are already available to us and then making sure that those are being fully leveraged. And we have not fully leveraged the role of the Fed in their statutory mandate of full employment. So this is just calling on the Fed, and I want to, continue to reiterate those calls. So I hope that my campaign, which is, I have many coalition partners in that. I won't cite them all here today, but my staff can follow up offline, but that they take heed to this campaign that's shedding a light on this crisis for Black women, for Black families, and for Black people.